Welcome to Seth's Daily Podcast. Without you guys, this wouldn't be possible. And thank you guys for subscribing. I want to thank everybody that has followed to the Nighthawk radio page and gave us a like. Everybody needs to keep on following and give us likes. Well, we're blessed enough to have an interview with all the way from Wales. I'm right, Anna. Ghost
Yeah,
hunter
yeah.
Lynn Murphy. How are you doing? How are you doing
Hi,
today?
Steph.
It's not
Well,
here, so
thank you for interviewing me. Yes, it's quite a surprise, to be honest. Yes, and I'm glad to be here. Yeah, I am.
I appreciate you being on for sure.
Good. That's
Definitely.
good.
Yes, ma'am. And I know you've done ghost hunting for a while. So tell
Yeah.
people where you've ghost hunted at in Wales.
Oh, right. Um, well, I've been all over Wales, South Wales, North Wales. I've done loads. I tend to what I tend to do is there's certain places I like to go back to. you know. There's a place on the seaside town called Llandudno. A lot of people may have heard it, they may not have. It's on North Wales. And near there, in Penryn, which is the other side of Llandudno, there's an old hall. It's a Tudor mansion hall called Penryn Old Hall. It's now like a holiday destination, if you like. But through certain times of the year, the man who owns it opens it up and we can go and do a ghost hunt. The first time I actually went there must be about, oh gosh, about 10 years, maybe longer now ago. And I walked in and he took us through to this part of the building that we needed to go into. And I started feeling things coming through my foot. I was literally hopping and there was stuff coming up through the floor. And I said to him, "What on earth's under this floor here?" He said, "There's waters and tunnels." So that was my night spoilt because I'd already figured it all out. You know what I mean? But the place is interesting. It's quite active. There's a priest there. We've had royalty come through. We've It's something to do with, I think it was a great granddaughter of Henry VII. Really interesting history, the whole lot. And it goes back to the Plantagenets, and when Henry VIII abolished the Catholic faith, what happened was the locals in that village found out that the soldiers were coming to burn down the church, the Catholic Church, because Henry abolished everything. The priest at the old hall found out, and what he done was um, he he found out off a maid. Um, he went to the village, told all the villagers to get out of there because they'd come to kill him. And the girl was taken. I don't know what happened to her, but they found out, and he disappeared down these tunnels, which is over the other side of the hill from where they are. Now, he lived in this tunnel for 2 years, helped by a servant. He had this servant bring different objects of wood and stuff up to this tunnel, sorry, this cave, and he built a printer and he printed the first book in Welsh of the Bible. That book's now in a museum. So he was there for 2 years. He was found eventually. He was taken to Beaumaris Castle. He was then sent to Coventry. Do you know that saying, "Oh, I'll send you to Coventry out the way"? Well, he was
Yeah.
actually sent to Coventry. 2 years later, he was brought back and hung. So that was an interesting place to go. I do go over to Anglesey, at Beaumaris Castle. Um, I go there every year without fail. I just got to be there. I got to feel the building. Um, Problem is when I'm there, I normally get people coming. Uh, no disrespect, but I get a lot of Americans tagging along with me, and I end up giving history tours around the castle.
Uh,
Quite good actually. But the whole area is, they've got some really, really interesting old buildings with a lot of spiritual energy. And one of my favourite places is a cave, which is a secret area on the North Wales coast. And it belonged to a family, a local family called the Mostins. It was on their estate. And in the, I think it was the 1700s. Sorry, I was looking at something. On the 1700s, they built this big house there. So it's like a mansion house, and every month they'd have parties with all the rich people used to come. Now, on that site, there's a little house, right, which is further up in the woods. And in this little house, this is an absolute true story. They used to employ two dwarfs, right? They used to pay them £5 each a year to live in this little house. And it was a folly. So upstairs was the living area, and downstairs it's full of, it's got fire and seats and everything, but it was full of, it still is actually, it's full of tropical shells. It's full of quartz, big giant pieces of quartz all through all the walls. It's the most interesting place. So it's an energy. It's an energy place, really. So these certain people from the parties was taken by the dwarfs up to the house, and they'd be entertained by the dwarfs. I don't know what the entertainment was, but they'd be entertained. That's all I'm saying. Near to there is another area which is a secret cave. And I was told about this about 15 years ago, and I was invited to go to this cave by a group, a paranormal group that lived down the coast, but they were all guys. And they used to go there and take photographs. Now, when you go into this cave, the first thing you see is a big giant stone lion. But the lion's sitting down. It's got a big giant hole as a mouth. It's got wings. And underneath its paws, because it's sitting in a sitting position, is three very, very long claws. Really, really strange. But people are chipping and breaking the place up now. I'm glad I took photographs while I could. Now, behind this lion, it goes back about 12 foot into the cave. At the other side of this lion is, how can I say, it's a fire. So they would stoke the fire with stuff, let the smoke come out the lion's mouth. The smoke would go up into the woods because it was all forested in the Middle Ages. And people would know that there'd be a secret meeting going on. The people who needed to know would know that that meeting was going on. So it was originally used hundreds of years ago. It goes further back than what the house does, much further back. Now, when you go into that cave, they've got a room which I call purgatory. So it's a small room which you go into with a bench, a concrete bench. Now, underneath the bench, there's arches all the way around. Whether that's used to store people's ashes, just saying, I don't know. But above that is a stone skeleton. The skeleton is like that, right? And around the skeleton is like cloth, and it's all done in stone. And I call it purgatory because I feel it's whatever is kept in there, it can't go to heaven and can't go to hell because this skeleton's there. Very interesting. Outside the door is a griffin, a big giant griffin stuck on the wall. It's had its head cut off. Now, this is where everything starts to have its head cut off, right? Different things. There's Welsh dragons in there, old Welsh dragons from the medieval times. So this place wasn't built in, the cave itself had been there a long time before the 1700s, long time. They've also got the fleur-de-lis, signs of the fleur-de-lis, which is the blood of Christ. So, and you go through that, and you've got an 8-foot face. Oh, what do you call them now? And they've got the one eye. What do you call those beasts with the one eye? What are they called? Cyclops. Now, this Cyclops, it's just the head with the beard and a big glass eye, is about 8 foot tall, and it's about 5 foot wide. Now, nobody's managed to smash that up yet. It's amazing. That's next to another door which goes into a big room. And in this room, there's stones around that I think it's a meeting place for very important people from the past. If you go through that area, up some steps, you come to another door, you go through the door down, it takes you into a secret area where in this area there's a bed in stone with a pillow and covers, and opposite the bed is a full-blown monk who sat there, and they've chopped his head off. I don't know when that's been done. It's been done for years. So there's something about chopping the heads off. Maybe somebody was in the past has taken them off because they don't want that to influence people who have gone in after, if you know what I mean. It's very symbolic, the whole place. So there's a lot of I go to interesting places, put it that way, very interesting places. So where I actually live, we have a local wood. And in this wood, in 1258, I think it was, I might be wrong on that date, it's round about 1258, there was a battle between Henry II and Owain Glyndŵr. And what happened was Henry II wanted to take the rest of Anglesey because they were all stealing bits of land off. It wasn't United Kingdom then, it was like Wales, Scotland, England. So they wanted part of England and more parts of Wales. So they sent him over. He had 30,000 men. They went up the River Dee to Chester, because we live 8 miles from Chester. He was settled there on the Saltney Marshes. So he sent the majority of men over to Anglesey to invade there. And he took about 3,000 men and he walked overland towards a place called Rutland Castle, which is near to Rhyl, which is on the coast. And he wanted to take that stronghold. So as he came through, he went past our woods. Now, we had a little castle. It's more like a summer house, really, to be honest. But Owain's, two of his sons, Cyneth and Dafydd. So it was Dafydd ap Gwynedd and Cyneth ap, because ap means son of. They were there with about 300 men. Now, their father was based in Greenfield in an abbey. He heard that Henry was coming, so he went over to where we live here to help his sons. And a big battle ensued. And most of the English who came with Henry got killed. We don't know, there wasn't many Welsh that got killed. But Henry just escaped with his life. But he did go on to capture the castle in Rutland. The men he sent to Anglesey didn't get very far, so they had to go. They didn't get far. So it's really interesting historical places that I like to go and visit. You know, I like to go around Britain. There's a few places around the country that I like to go. But I first got interested. Things have been happening to me throughout my life. And it used to frighten me because I didn't know what it was. So something happened. I'd gone up to see a friend. We were meeting at her house when I was 14. And I went up there with another friend. And when we got there, she was doing a Ouija board. Now, mum and dad had gone out. So the only people in the house, there was her, another friend, and a brother and a cousin. That was it. So we went in, we were quite shocked. And we said, what are you doing? You can't do this. It's wrong. Oh, she said, we're getting a guy called John. He's dead friendly. We go, what do you mean? You can't just go and do that. It's not normal. No, she said, come on anyway. I went on. We went on. And they got a guy called, this fella came forward. So she said, don't know. Most probably cheating. Excuse me, called John. And it came out that it was my grandfather. Now, I couldn't remember what my grandfather's called. One was called Jack, but I didn't know what the other one was called. Anyway, Jack is a short name for John. Yeah. And my other grandfather was called John, but I didn't know this till later. So it told me to get off and don't go on it again. So my friend was saying, no, stay on. And no, so I went off. Then all of a sudden, all the curtains in that room, we heard a ping and we looked, and all the curtains were pulled off the post, the curtain rail. And upstairs, there was a lot of banging, like it was the door. So me and my friend run upstairs, and the door was just banging and opening and closing really fast. Now it frightened me. My friend kicked the door and it stopped. There was nobody there. So I was having a nervous breakdown now. So I was going home. I had to be walked home. And the best of it was, Seth, we lived opposite a cemetery. So that didn't help. So I got taken home. Now, the next day, I had to go to my grandmother's because she'd had an accident. She got run over and was staying at her daughter's. So I had to go down to my nan's to feed the dog. So I got there and all the doors slammed. The door, which was from the living room to the hallway, I looked at it and it had a latch on it. It blew open. So I run out the house, went up the road, got my cousin, he came down. I said, I don't know what's going on here. So I think now looking at it, that's if it was a spirit of my grandfather. He was there in that house telling me off for messing with that Ouija board. And that frightened me for a while. Now, a year later, I started getting interested. And I delved with the Ouija board a bit, then I stopped it. But then I got really interested and I realised that I was using senses. Like I was picking up energies constantly and I was seeing things, peripheral vision. And this went on for years and I got more and more interested. I wasn't pursuing it. It was just happening, you know. Like
It pursued you.
it pursued me. It's true. And what I started doing also, and I remember in the 80s, I was having these weird, not very often, but if I had these like strange dreams, and if I had this one particular dream, I dreamt that this person in the family was on a bed in a dark room. I went in, looked at this person, knew who it was, but this person was surrounded by other people. And I walked out the room. Within a week, that person was dead. So it was like I was having these, I don't know, it was letting me know really things was happening. I've had that quite a few times and it's happened every single time. Won't be in a room, it could be in a field, it could be in a ward, it could be anywhere. But whoever's on it, lady, man, whoever it is, in my family, they're normally dead within a month. It sounds awful, that doesn't it? I have to go and visit them now. Terrible. But
Uh,
yeah, so that started happening, and I used to go to people's visit people, and I was picking up on stuff. You know, I was picking up on energies, and I'd say even bad energies, good energy, everything, and I'd ask them about, you know, if how long you've lived in this house now, and anything strange happening, you know, and I was picking, and when I first got my first house, something happened. I had a 6 week old baby and a 15-month-old baby, toddler, and I'd gone to bed. And I woke, must have been about 1 o'clock, and I felt like there was something wrong. I went into my toddler's room. I looked through the window, I couldn't see anything. Picked my toddler up because I don't believe I'm one of these mums that won't put the children in bed with me. Right, they have to stay because once you get them in bed, you're never getting them out, are you? We've got to go there all the time. So they've always stayed in their own bed. So I picked the toddler up. He was still asleep. I put him in bed with me. I picked my new baby up. So I was like that with these two babies. And then I heard things downstairs. And I closed my eyes and I was literally streaming with tears, petrified. And I could hear things scrambling up the stairs and it came into the room. And they were there a good 10 minutes. I was absolutely petrified. I don't know what it was. I was too scared to open my eyes. But they were all round the room. And then they went, whatever they were, I don't know. But I kept the babies with me in bed. And later, it must be what, maybe within 20 minutes of coming in and going out, I heard a humming and the whole house was shaking like that. I don't know what it was. I couldn't tell you. I don't know if it was paranormal, if it was a UFO. I haven't got a clue. But that pricked my conscience, and that was the one that really woke me up. And then it was like a procession of hauntings. So the next house I went to, um, there was a lot of this wardrobe knocking again. There was things getting thrown around. My husband, he got picked up and bounced round the bed by the back of his legs when I had and my daughter. He was petrified of the house because things kept kicking off when he was there. And I was witnessing this. I was also getting woken up. I got woke up by a lady. A lady, she walked through, my daughter was 3 months old and she was in a cot. And this lady walked through the wall by the wardrobe. She was a little lady, very Victorian. She had a shawl round her. And I looked and she walked through and she walked over to the cot and went to go into the cot. So I jumped out of bed. Wouldn't have normally been me. I jumped out of bed. I said, get away from my baby now. And she just toddled up, got the baby and put her in bed with me. There was, but saying that, years later, after I left that place, I didn't tell anybody. Somebody else went to live in that house and they were having the same thing. So it wasn't just me. And I also found out about somebody else who had actually lived there years before me in the 50s, and they were having the same trouble. So whether it was the land, I don't know. But you learn as you go along and you learn all these different things. And it was very, very frightening for me at the time. So coming into the 90s now, and when you're working all the time and you're listening to people, oh, I'd love to do this. And then, but nobody would ever go on a ghost hunt. Nobody ever go on a ghost walk. They always said they would and they never did. You know what
I
I
did for
mean?
5 years. I ghost hunted for 5 years.
Yeah. So they wouldn't do it. So then Most Haunted come on. And I thought, it wasn't even that good really, but there was one part on it that triggered it for me. And it was an actual vision, just a quick vision that done it. Nothing else bothered me, the throwing coins or bits of wood throw, but that little thing triggered it for me. And I then started to go for walks up in the woods with people and doing call outs. I learned how to do protection. I wish I knew that before. Done protection, and we used to go for quite. I've got quite a lot of stuff from our woods here. I know there's people here drums. I never believed them. I've heard them. Now I do, because you never do unless you see it yourself or hear it yourself, do you? There's all sorts happening down there. So it's really, really interesting. Yeah. So I go to some interest. I like Nottingham Galleries of Justice. Fantastic place to go. I've been to quite a few. Quite a few. Morecambe Winter Gardens was amazing. I like to go to nuclear bunkers. They're also new. That they're interesting places. So there's quite a few places I go to, but not all the time because you've got to live your life and you've got to do your own thing as well, haven't you? So any opportunity that comes up, if I want to go, I go. If I don't want to, I don't. But I also go sky watching. I do a lot of sky watching because a few things have happened to me. Um,
What have you seen up in the sky before?
oh, right, listen to this one. You're gonna like this. This is interesting. First thing I ever seen, um, my ex-husband, um, every Wednesday night, you go to darts, right? You go to the darts and he'd be in the house 11:15. So he'd come from the pub playing darts and he'd come in 11:15. He'd come in grumpy and that'd be it. And he came in this one particular night and he run in and he said, Lynn, come out here, come out here. And it was freezing, Seth. It was like November. It was freezing cold. He said, I need you to come out and have a look at this. I said, it's cold out there. Let me get. He said, just come out. So I went out with him, went to the end of the garden. Now, the lights in the street had been off for about 2 years, had never been fixed in the street, right? So it was quite dark. So I'm looking up and down the street now at something that I don't know what I'm looking at. I don't know. He was going, look, look. I said, there's nothing here. He said, no, look up. So I looked up like that. There was a giant black triangle. I went, whoa. And I looked at him and we looked at it. It was silent. There was no vibration off it. Nothing. It was about 80 foot above the houses. It had like creamy white lights on the three corners and like a burnt orangey red glow in the middle. It was the light was bigger than the ends. And I thought, could it be an air balloon? But why would anybody have an air balloon? 11:15 at night, going round streets in North Wales, it wouldn't, would it? They've got no reason to. And it just went up the top. We stood there with me, we watched it, went to the top of the street, over a school, turned round and went for it, went. So it went towards the Irish Sea, which is just at the end here. So I run into the house, up the stairs, into my son's bedroom, trod all over him to get to the window. Woke him up, looked through, and I was watching this triangle. And it was at the end of the estuary, right on the sea. And it was there for a while, maybe 3 or 4 minutes, and then it shot towards Cheshire. And then, whoa, that was I wasn't even scared, because I always said I wouldn't like to meet an alien or see a spacecraft or anything like that, because it would frighten me. But there it was, it happened. And it didn't frighten me. I was buzzing, absolutely on a high. Oh, it's brilliant that. Now, going back now 4 years, I was talking to a cousin who lived in that street, because I couldn't find anybody who would witness that apart from me and my husband, right? I was talking to a cousin. She said, did you ever see that big black triangle, Lynn, in our street? I went, yes, I did. Thank you, thank you. So she actually seen it as well. So it wasn't just us. So that was interesting. 2019, yeah, I went out with a work colleague and a sister, and we'd been for a meal locally, and we were taking a sister home. So we went to do a shortcut down a lane, and it was not far from aerospace in Broughton. And her sister said, what on earth's that down by my house? And we stopped the car and looked down the bottom of the lane, and it was a black triangle, and it was on a slant. It was on a slant, and it was moving very slowly. All right, get down there. We're going to follow the UFO. The sister started crying, so we had to take her home and drop her off. And she was petrified. So we went round the block and we followed it as far as we possibly could. And it just silently went behind aerospace. So I know for a fact people are picking stuff up there because they're telling me. I know people that live down there and they're saying this is that and that, but nobody says anything because they're too scared to. So that was the second one I ever seen. But going back to 2011, now I'd gone camping to near South Wales in a little town called, well, it was just outside a town called Cardigan. And I'd looked for this campsite weeks before, and it looked really good. They'd had it there for years. It was on a farm. They'd done horses and everything. And they just had some brand new shower facilities and everything. It was quite nice area. So we travelled down, and we got there, and we found it a little bit strange, but we thought, they had a 15, 18-foot wooden cross in the front garden of this farm yard. And we thought, a bit strange, because you don't normally see crosses around there, you don't see them. So, but the people were absolutely the most nicest people we've ever met in our lives. They were fabulous. So they said, where you going? I said, well, we haven't got any electrics with us, so we'll go on the bottom field if you don't mind. So he said, well, we haven't got many booked in. He said, but we've got one person in a camper van, but they're going tomorrow. So if you want to go up on the electric area, we'll lend you our electric stuff. You can have it fine. So I thought, how good's that? So we went on the electrics. So we went to this field. We got there the 25th of April. and the early hours of the 27th of April, I got woken up about um, 2:30 in the morning, maybe 2:15, 2:30 in the morning. And what I was hearing was sheep screaming. Now, where we live, we've got a lot of farms, so we know what sheep sound like. So I thought there must be a dog or something loose, or a wild dog or something scaring the sheep. We got worse and worse. Screaming, never heard screaming like that before. Something's attacking the sheep here. It could have been a dog, it could have been a fox, it could have been anything. Now, I was bursting go for a wee, right? And I couldn't wake him up. He wouldn't wake up. Um, I tried everything. It's like as if he was in a coma. Anyway, this screaming got less and less and less. So I thought, I wonder if it'd be safe if it was right. I took the chance. I thought, I'm not going to walk all the way down that field, 2 fields to go to the toilets. So I popped behind the tent and had a wee. Right.
Yeah.
So I had this wee. But then the curiosity got the better of me. So my tent must have been about 50 foot away, if less, from a little hedge. So I walked over because there was hardly any noise then, walked over to a hedge, up a little incline, 2 steps up this incline to this hedge, and I looked over the hedge. And as I looked over the hedge, I was looking into a valley, and there was hardly, well, there wasn't, I couldn't see lights on in anybody's houses, but they were dotted about, a little farm here and I was looking round, and I don't even know how many miles away this was. Could have been 2, could have been 5, I don't know. But I seen this big, I thought it was a Ferris wheel or something at first, I wasn't sure, but it wasn't. But what I was looking at was it was like a big circle with the bottom taken off. So it looked like a horseshoe. So around this horseshoe, there was lights, and I counted 9. So these lights were going circles. They were going white, big, and it shrunk to red, small. And it was like a heartbeat. Am I boring you, Seth?
What's that?
Am I boring you because you're going to sleep?
Oh no, no, no.
Tired, Joe. So I was watching this for a while, and I was trying to figure out, it was definitely not the circus, it was no Ferris wheel, it was nothing. But I couldn't figure out what it was. Then and this sound of sheep got less and less and less. Then something caught my eye from, I'd say, northeast. So as I looked up to the northeast, I noticed a television mast with all the red lights on. But as I looked, I thought one of the lights had fell off, right? But it hadn't. It hadn't. Because I thought, well, if the lights fell off there, why is the light still on? Do you know what I mean? It was a big red light came around the side of this massive hill. It just glided straight through the valley, and it went right next to this big, let's say, horseshoe. It was giant. So I looked and I thought, what's going on here? And I couldn't figure out, it took me many years to figure this one out. Couldn't figure out what it was. So this red light was there, and a couple of minutes later, it started to shake, shaking, right? So then all of a sudden it went white and shrunk down to red. So it was copying one of the lights on this big horseshoe, right? And it was like that for a few minutes, and it shook again. And the next thing, there was 2 of them. I rubbed my eyes because I thought, am I seeing things? What is it? I didn't know what this was. It really, really got my attention now. And I was watching, and then it got into the same rhythm. So the pulsating white and red, this other one started doing the same. A couple of minutes later, so there's the first one as you're looking at it. There's the second one. Then this one, the new one, went back behind and slotted into that. As soon as that happened, the whole area went quiet. Silence. You could have heard a pin drop. Silence. And I looked at it and I could feel it looking at me. And I ducked behind the hedge. Ducked behind this hedge. And I thought, what do I do? What do I do? Because you could feel it. It knew that I was there and I could feel it. And the atmosphere was crisp. And I run small. I was running small, so I didn't have to stand up. Then I stopped, but it felt like I was running dead fast, but I was going in slow motion, and it felt like I was getting dragged. But I got to the tent and I got in, put the lock on the tent. Got into my bedroom. He was still asleep, still couldn't wake him up. My heart was pounding through my chest. Right. I never slept. I was too scared. Then the next day, when he decided to wake up, I told him about it. And he went, oh, right, okay. So I did tell family and friends, and they believed me, but it never left me. And about 3 years later, I thought, who do I talk to about this? So I went online and I looked for a UFO group, and I just picked one. And I told them what had happened, and I needed to speak to somebody about it. And I didn't get a reply for about 3 months, 4 months. And the reply was, oh, it happens to everyone. Don't worry about it. Yeah. So what do you do when you're getting that? And I've seen that was it then. I was looking, I've seen quite a few things. There's the amount of stuff that happens on the Wales coast. It's all happening on the Irish Sea. It's all going on down there. I've got
That's
photographs.
interesting.
I've got plenty of photographs which have taken on a local mountain. The, the the planes come in
Do you
and
think they're going there to like hide and stuff? Because I know that UFOs and stuff have been seen coming out of water. It's a theory that they possibly go down to the water to recharge or to hide.
I think they are. Then there's a lot coming out the Irish Sea. They are. I've got a lady from. I don't see her now, but I used to work with this lady about the same age as me, and she lived in this seaside town, and she had a few nights off work. So because she lives on her own, and she was sat in the garden. In fact, this I tell you when it was. It would be 5 years this June, because it was when I moved into this house. And I was due to go into work the next morning. So it was a Sunday night. And I never sleep. I never sleep the night before I go to work. I think it must be scared. I'm petrified or stressed out or something, right? Anyway, I heard a ding on my phone. So I looked at my phone, and it was Facebook, and it was my friend that lived down the coast. And she'd been sat in the garden. This was early hours in the morning, sat in the garden, and she'd taken some photographs and put them straight onto Facebook. So I texted her back and I said, when did you get these, Sue? She said, just now. I said, where's it come from? She said, out the Irish Sea. because she lives on the Irish Sea. I said, which way are they going? She said, towards you. So she said towards Holywell. So it was coming this way. And I said, thanks. So I just lay in bed and I got this strange feeling. So I sat up on the edge of the bed. I looked through the window, and what was there? This big, giant white light. So I was looking, I got my head out the window and I was looking to see what it could be. And I charted the stars, and it wasn't them. And I took a photograph, a couple of photographs, and I went back to sleep. And never thought anything of it. Anyway, I zoomed in the next day and I got a tic tac. But the tic tac, in fact, there was two. There was, because it had been moving, it was spinning. Whatever it was on the go. So this lady sent me one with a really strange shape on it. And then this round one. The one I got was a round one, very similar to hers. But then I got this tic tac shape with cross. It wasn't God, what can I say? It was no helicopter or anything like that. But it was straight from hers. So both of them matched up with one of the pictures. But the other didn't. So when I go, now and again, I go up on a local mountain on a good clear night. And honest to God, this one particular night, I had my son with me. We were taking photographs, just taking photos. There's nothing there. Planes fly over, they go. You've got the space stations going over. Well, I've got that much stuff off them photographs. And most of the stuff I'm getting is cloaked, but you can actually still see some of the shapes on it. I've got one that looks like a sweet. I've got one that looks like a triangle, all in red. But the cloak stuff's more interesting. I think it's very, very interesting shots that I've got there. So yeah, I like to do lots of different things. Great place. Lots of castles in Wales. Whoever wants to come over, give us a shout. I'll take you round.
That's
Yeah.
actually something I wanted to ask about was castles. What kind of voices have you picked up on EVP?
EVP. Do you know what? I've never done EVP in castles. Um, no, I haven't. I've done EVP in old buildings.
I should ask, what kind of energy have you picked up in castles?
Ah, right. Energies. Yeah. Now, I've picked up on little boys. I've picked up on a couple of little boys. I've picked up on men, a lady, a local lady for here. She's a nun. I've picked up on her. Big story about that one. I'll tell you, if you ever have me back on again, I'll tell you the story of them. Lots of stories about that. Yeah, lots of energies I've picked up on. Yeah, this is a good one. Uh, a friend of my son's who lives locally in Flint, every weekend when his son was a bit younger, maybe 4 years ago, 5 years ago, every weekend he'd go to the castle if it was nice, let him run about in the castle. This particular day he was there, there was nobody there, just them, let him run round. It's quite an open castle. Took the photographs. Later on, he was looking at the photographs and noticed something on the photograph. So he zoomed in and he's picked up on this person, sent it to me, and you couldn't really see this from a distance. You couldn't see it. But when you zoomed right in, it's there. It wasn't part of the rock formation on the castle, nothing. Interesting. So I sent it off to the local papers and they printed it. So you got your usual, oh, I'm going to kill you. It's a load of rubbish, all this lot. Then you got the other people who are historians phoning me up and talking to me about very interesting. This is how people would have dressed at a certain time, and really interesting. So that was lots of things like that. But I've actually picked up on lots of men, aggressive men. I've picked up on quite a few aggressive men if I'd say that was Beaumaris Castle. I like Carnarvon Castle. That's interesting. That's again, it's a male dominance thing going on there. It's mostly men actually that I've been picking up on, but a few ladies. I have got a really, really good EMF recording of a guy in this old house, actually, not far from that cave. Now I'd gone there with a friend, and it's just in the day, but people have ruined this place. But we went in, and we went through. There's nobody there, so I've done a few shout outs, and then all of a sudden, I said, "You know what? What a shame! They've actually wrecked this building. This building's fantastic." And I said, "You know, if that was my home, and I came back." Whenever it was, years later, and I went and had a look around this house, I would go absolutely berserk because they've wrecked the house. They've pulled in the ceiling down, they've wrote over the walls. They need a good kick in these people. And this man right next to me said, "Yeah." And I've got him. I've got him. And I'm made up with that. I've got the voices in another building of children laughing and running around. But I've not just got it on my EVP, I've got it on my video recorder as well. It's picked up on it as well. So it's really good. There's quite a few I've picked up on.
Yeah,
But
that's
not
awesome.
massively. It's hard. I think it's more harder and more difficult to actually pick up on them because I think they've got to feel really relaxed to connect with you, and they've got to trust you in a way. Because if my body died and my spirit was still going round, I wouldn't just go to any house or any body. I'd have to trust people to go to talk to. It wouldn't change for me. Body might be gone, but it's a trust and all that lot. You wouldn't want people in your house. I mean, I'm not surprised people's houses get haunted. But by the right, you gotta have the right one. You do get bad people haunting. The bad in life, they're going to be bad in death, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely. The paranormal is definitely very interesting. That's for sure.
It certainly is, isn't it? So, what was your first time with the paranormal, Seth? What was the
Well,
most impressive thing that you've ever picked up on?
well, honestly, it wasn't anything on equipment. It's something I seen with my own eyes. Had a mist go through my hands, actually.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yep.
And
It
how did
was,
you react to it?
uh, it actually felt comforting.
That's good.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's good. That's positive. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you
but I
think
don't
it was
ghost hunt
part of
no
your
more.
family? Do you think it was the family member?
Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe. Not sure, really. I haven't ghost hunted in years.
Yeah.
I ain't really got time to, though. But still love talking about it on podcasts and stuff. And I know you got your own podcast as well.
Yeah, we do. I work with a girl called Lo Haddo. She's Scottish, fabulous. And she's with N and M Multiverse. And she does every Thursday night from 8 till 10. We do a show called The Magical Carousel Show, where we can have guests on if we want, but we've got team members and they come on when they want. They get invited, they can come on when they want. We talk about subjects, but we always end up going down the rabbit hole, bring loads of things. We have a good laugh, but if it's serious, it's serious. And then on a Friday night, if I'm not working on a Friday, sometimes I do, so sometimes I miss it. We do a show called Fools and Ghouls, where anything goes. We have a good laugh, a proper laugh then. But it's weird, isn't it? So we do Magical Carousel Show, which is serious, but we also bring a bit of a laugh into it. And we have Fools and Ghouls, which is funny, but then we bring something serious into it as well. So they're really good. And about once a month, I do a show called The Welsh Connection with Lynn Murphy on it's Access Paranormal, owned by Jamie Williams. And I'll do a series of little stories which I'll record and send over. But now and again, I do have an interview with Jamie. We all started off in the paranormal world together, really. Him and his wife Marie and the whole team. But they're from Liverpool, the Liverpool area. So I do that. I do ghost walks. I tell ghost stories to people if they want. And, if they want to go on a ghost walk and they're too scared, I'll go and do that. If somebody wants to do a charity and they want a ghost theme, they'll ask me to go and help them. So, there's lots of things I do. And I work full time. So it's hard, but I'm supposed to be retiring next year. It's time for me to retire. So not sure whether I'm going to keep on a few hours yet. I don't know, but it'll give me more time to do what I want to do. You know what I mean? So
That's what it's all about for sure.
it's all good. It's all about soothing your soul, make yourself feel good. That's what it's about, isn't it?
For sure. Well, I want to thank you for being on. Appreciate Lynn Murphy for being on. Everybody have a good night. God bless.